I've always been different, and I love to take the road less traveled. I worked in television for a long time, and I bounced around small towns in Alberta, working at different television stations. And then one day I moved back home to BC, and I ran into one of my girlfriends from college, Bon Bon, and she was working in the film industry as a lamp op. And she said to me, Heather, I think you would make a great grip and I'm on the show and I can get you on as a volunteer. What do you think? And I thought, that sounds amazing. And I didn't even know what a grip was, but I knew my friend Bonnie and I knew that she always had my best interest at heart and I love and trust her more than anything. So I said, I am in. And then I went and looked up what does a grip do? And when I found out that it is a very physical job, and it is all made up of men. There are no female grips. And so I went to my dad and said, Dad, could you show me how to use power tools? And I think that must have been his most proud day of me ever because he was so happy to teach me how to use a skill saw and drills and all the fun stuff because that's what a grip did. A grip is like a jack of all trades on the set, and they're responsible for lighting and rigging for everybody's safety and putting like the camera on the roof and rigging cars, like all the fun things. But like I said before, there was, I think, maybe one female grip before I entered the industry. And I loved it because back in those days, I always got along better with men than I did with women. I think it was because I grew up in sports, very athletic, very tomboyish, and I was never into kind of the girly girl things like the makeup and dressing up and all that. And it's very easy for me to connect with the males. And so this was the perfect industry for me. And I loved it. And I did really well at it just because I was a good listener and I was a hard worker and because I could get along easily with the men. And so I was kind of like a breath of fresh air because a lot of grips, stereotypical grips, are like old, grumpy men that are really gruff and that kind of thing. And so I was having a great old time. And not only that, you get paid really well. So I was making good money. And in the film industry, the way it works is that there are can be really busy seasons when there's a lot of production shooting in Vancouver, and then it's hard to find crew for productions that are coming. And when that happens, it's the perfect time to get a promotion. And one season it was super busy. And so what they can't find crew, so they'll take anybody. And I remember this camera operator, and actually he was a director of photography. So the people that hire the key grips are the directors of photography. And then the key grips hire their crew, the grip crew. And I remember I had worked with this one um, director of photography before and he was shooting this independent. So that meant there wasn't a lot of money, but he approached me and said, Heather, I want you to be my key grip. And I was like, what? This is amazing. There aren't any key grips in Vancouver at all. And I'm going to be the first female key grip. So I was stoked. Now, one of the main reasons why I got this job or why he asked me to do this job is because it was a show about lesbians. And he didn't think I was a lesbian, but there were a lot of scenes with lesbian action happening, and I would have to be in the room for it. And he thought that the actresses would feel more comfortable if there was a female in the room as opposed to a male key grip. And so that was one of the main reasons why he asked me, because I had never been a key grip before. And so he was taking a chance on me. And I said, yes, I'm super excited. Let's do it. And it was the best experience ever. That was shout out to Greg Middleton because nobody else would have taken a chance on a female key grip because there just weren't any in the industry. And so he was very good at what he did because he could see things outside of mainstream. And that's what made him really good at his job and a really wonderful person. He was a very kind person and good at what he did. And so that's how I became a key grip. And then from there, I just went out and found more jobs and was working all the time. So as a key grip, it's my job to get a crew together and then I find work for my crew. And the funny thing was, there was a couple of different unions, and one of them was a small union. You could do independent work where you didn't need to be unionized. And then there was ACFC, which was a small union. So it wasn't where you would have to do seniority and pick people off the list. You could pick your own crew. And so I always did that because I could pick my crew, people that wanted to work for a woman, and they were wonderful workers, and we had a great time. We were like a family. We spent a lot of time together. Working in the film industry was 12 hours minimum, and usually it was like 14-hour days, 15, 16-hour days. So it was a lot of work, and you spent a lot of time with these people. And in the industry, you would always say they're my on-set husband or on-set wife or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is. And so I had this amazing crew. And my best friend, Johnny Ska, was my best boy. And oh my God, we were thick as thieves. We had so much fun. And while we're doing this, I'm doing these ACFC shoots because it was just easier. IATSE was the big union and it was full of the good old boys. It was a man's club for sure. And so eventually the guys were like, Heather, you should become a member of IATSE. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And I jumped through all the hoops, every single hoop. And the last thing I had to do was go to the GRIP union meeting and sit at the table and say, here's why I think I should become a member. And then they vote right in front of you. And it was so funny because they were going around and they'd be like, yep, you're in. Yep, you're in. And then they came to me, the only woman in the group, the only woman ever. There was one other female grip, but she wasn't a key grip. And I had to convince these men why I should be let in the union just as a grip. And I'd been key gripping forever. And in that room was all of the guys that were on my crew as grips, and they were in the union because they were men. And they were the ones that had to stand up for me and go, yeah, you should let her in because she's our boss. She's a key grip and she hires us and she's amazing. And it was just so sad that they had to go to bat for me in this way only because I was a female and that's the only reason. And yeah, that was the road less traveled and that was a uphill battle. And yes, I did get in as an IATSE, I think it's 891 union member, but I still worked in ACFC because it was just easier for me as a female and less hassle. And I went on to have an amazing career. And then I decided to have children. And when, like I said, you work super long hours in the film industry, super long hours. And I didn't want anybody else raising my children. So I quit the film industry. I went back in between children, but after my second child, because I'm like, this is too crazy. I don't want anybody else raising my children. And so I decided to open up my own business and have a gym of pre and postnatal fitness because I could take my kids with me to work. And I saw a need for it because women who have had their first child, they've been ripped out of their world that they know and then thrown into this foreign world where they have this human that they're responsible for and raging hormones and they don't even know what's going on and they feel very lonely and they don't know what to do. And so I wanted to build a community. So I opened my own gym. I'm like, what am I even doing? So I went and got certified. And the reason I opened my own gym is because I wanted to build a community. It was really, really important. And that's what I did. And I took my kids to work with me every single day. And it was absolutely amazing. It was the best thing I ever could have done for me and my family. And I did that as a single mom because when I just opened my gym, my relationship fell apart. And then I ended up raising my kids on my own. So it was perfect. And I could see that coming. I knew that was coming. And so I wanted to create a place for me and my kids where I could earn money and I could help people and I could have a job with a purpose and make a difference in people's lives. And so the reason I'm telling you this is because I always take the road less traveled. That's just who I am. I like adventures. I like challenges. I like starting over. And now, like okay, when I got to the end of kind of that adventure when my kids got older and I didn't want to do mom and baby fitness anymore. I decided I wanted to stop exchanging time for money. Now, that is what most people do. You go to a job and you make this much per hour. And for me, that just doesn't cut it. I always wanted to be able to set my own hours and do what I wanted to do, but always help people. And so I ended up starting my own coaching business and doing this. And I just recently solo traveled and surfed my way through Costa Rica and Nicaragua just because I created this for myself. So the reason I'm telling you this is because it's okay to be different. It might be an uphill battle, but the system is set up for you to follow along, just to be a consumer, not to ask any questions. Do not express yourself or be unique. Don't take your health into your own hands. Don't do something outside of the box. This is how the system is set up. When you look at how, like, the societal constructs that we've created and just females in the society, it is insane. It's very archaic. And it's definitely not forward thinking, but it's not just for females in this system. Like, that's a whole other thing. But I'm talking about just being a human being on planet Earth right now. Our systems are set up for us to just follow along, just be in line and follow the person in front of you and get your job and pay your bills, but don't question anything. You can see how, like, there's conspiracy theorists, and I'm not talking about that, like, from one extreme to the other. I'm talking about, what if anything was possible? What if I didn't have to have a 9 to 5 job and retire when I'm 60 or do all of these things? Like, this is what I've created for myself, so I know it's possible for you too. I don't ever plan on retiring because I love my job so much. I don't want to, and many people, their quality of life changes because they quit their job, and that's how they identified. Like, they identified with going to work and doing that job for 40 years. And that just breaks my heart because that's not why you're here. That's not who you are. That's not your purpose. That's just how you survived. But your purpose is that deep burning inside of you. My purpose is to help people. That's my purpose. I've known it forever. And everything I do is based on, how can I help people? How can I help people live better lives? How can I help people heal their bodies with food? This is my mission in life. And everything I do is based on that. And that means I step out of the line. That means I jump out of the box. And so it is imperative that I think differently, that I use my creative brain and find unique solutions, because that's what applies to me, because I've created this unique life for myself, this unique existence for myself. And I want to help you do it too. Anything is possible. All you have to do is start to think differently and pay attention to that burning desire deep inside your soul, the things that keep popping up for you, no matter where you are in your life or what you're doing. There's always that in the back of your brain, like that, that burning desire you've always had, that person you always want to become. When I coach my clients, I always talk about being the best version of yourself, or creating that self-actualized version of you. And so you have a vision of what that looks like. And then you start to ask yourself, how does it feel to be that person? What does that person do in this situation? How does that person show up every day? And you start to be that person now in this moment before you've even achieved being that person. And one of the best ways to do that is a- assume the state of the wish fulfilled. And that means you want to feel what it feels like to already be that person. And when you feel like you're already that person, then you're going to act. You're going to take action like that person, that future version of yourself where you're living your best life. And in order to do that, you want to be thinking like that person. And a really great way to do that is to go and to visit that version of yourself. Just take a minute and put your feet flat on the floor. And just if you're walking, that's okay. You can do this while you walk. Use this as a moving meditation. And if you're driving, do this later when you get home. But just take a couple of deep breaths in. And as you exhale, you just relax into possibility. One more deep breath. And you just imagine that future self. What does she look like? How does she dress? How does she feel? How does she talk to people? What does she eat? What does she do every single day? How does she hold herself and carry herself? How does she speak to others? And just really imagine all the details of that version of you. And just spend some time getting into like the fine details. What does she do on a Monday? What does her Tuesday look like? How does she spend her weekends? Who does she hang out with? What makes her laugh? What food does she eat to nourish her body? And then once you're really connected to that future version of yourself, just introduce yourself to her and ask her, how did she create this for herself? What did you do to get here? And listen to what she tells you. Listen to the answer and ask her, what gift does she have for you in this moment? And listen and receive. How did she get to where she is? How does she do the things that she does? And let her tell you, because this is the future version of you. This is your self actualized version. And she knows how she got there because she did it. And then thank her for her time and her wisdom and bless her and let her go on her way. And now you have your answer. Now you know how she did it. And that's a bonus because my advice is find that version of yourself and don't have to know how it's done if you don't need to. Like just go for it. And the how will figure itself out. The how will always figure itself out. The problem is we get stuck on like, I don't know how to become that version. I don't know how to do that. And so we never start. And I'm saying just start. And I'm saying go visit that version of yourself and find out exactly how she did it. Get the answers of the how, if that's what you want, and then apply it every single day, all day, every day. And I guarantee you, you'll become that version of you all day, every day. I am here to say life is short, and it's time for you to break out of all the societal constructs that are keeping you playing small and keeping you from chasing those big, scary dreams. Because it's possible for you. If I can do it, you can do it. And I'm just getting started. Like you just wait to see what else I'm going to create in my life because I'm here for all of it. I'm here to be different. I'm here to find out what's possible for me. I'm not here to fall in line. I'm not here to do what the person before me did. I'm not just like everybody else. And neither are you. You're one in a million. You're unique. So you want to go out and create whatever the heck you want. How do you do this? Just write down all of those crazy dreams that you once thought were out of your reach. Like all the things that just keep are there in the back of your awareness. And you're like, yeah, what about that? Yeah, I remember when I wanted to do that. Yeah, I remember when I wanted to be that kind of a person, when I wanted to try that. And just write them all down. And then just pick one, pick the biggest, scariest one, and just go make it happen without knowing how. Just go and do it. And you'll fail. Be prepared. You're going to fail, I promise you. But that's part of the journey. That's how you learn and grow. It's never a failure, it's learning and growing. And once you think about it from that perspective, now you're having fun. As I am creating this business, instead of thinking like this is hard, I don't know how to do it, I'm trying something and then I'm learning and growing from it. And then what happens? I move forward. And then I get there. And this is the experience. It's not the end result. It's the experience of learning and growing that makes it all worthwhile. This is what it's all about, is having the experience. Yes, it will be hard. Of course, it's going to be scary, but do it anyway. I promise you, you will never regret it. On our deathbeds, we're never regretting the things that we did, but we will always regret the things that we didn't do in our final moment with our last breath. We only get this one precious life. Now is your time to get out there and be amazing and do it scared, and I will meet you there. Thank you for listening. Always, always, always love yourself first and have an amazing day.